Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Just a few hours ago, we learned the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students decided to stand silent during his arraignment earlier this morning. That legal move meant the judge entered 5 not guilty pleas on behalf of Brian Coburger. This was the first time since January that we'd seen Coburger in court, and now we know he likely won't see him again until October 2nd, when his trial is set to begin. Ahead of the arraignment today, Lilia Luciano with CBS News spoke to Steve Gonzalez. Her daughter Kaylee was one of 4 students killed back in November. He says the hardest thing right now is having patience.
What is your biggest question, and what do you want to see from this?
When do we stop with hiding all these things? I mean, let's get the process going. I mean, there's nothing more painful to the family than just to sit around doing nothing. You know, that's not justice.
There wasn't a lot said in the courtroom today, but the suspect's decision to stand silent was an unfamiliar move to a lot of people. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley was in the courtroom today. She explains exactly what it means.
When Brian Coburger chose to stand in silence in his arraignment this morning, that meant he chose to say nothing or take a stance on being guilty or not guilty. And by doing this, the judge must then enter a not guilty plea on his behalf. According to the indictment from the grand jury, Brian Coburger faces 5 charges, 1 count for burglary and 4 counts of first-degree murder. This morning, the judge entered a not guilty plea on Coburger's behalf on all these charges. Then we heard what the maximum penalties are if he is found guilty of all charges in a consecutive sentence.
You could be facing 10 years in prison, followed by 4 consecutive life sentences or death penalties, fines of up to $200,000 and $20,000 to be paid directly to the families.
We're still waiting to find out if this is going to be a death penalty case. We'll know more in the next 60 days. Why then? That's the deadline for the Latah County prosecutors to file their intent to seek the death penalty. We know there's a strong possibility this will be a death penalty case. That's because the county entered an agreement months ago to find a defense attorney who is qualified to represent a client who could face the death penalty. The arraignment this morning wasn't Coburger's only hearing today. He returned to the court about 30 minutes later for 2 additional hearings focused on the gag order in the trial and a motion to compel discovery. The gag order was put in place by the original judge in this case. Today was a scheduling hearing for 2 different issues. The first, the Gonsalves family attorney wants clarity so he can speak on behalf of his clients.
I'm just addressing a couple of clarifications and amendments that would allow myself as an attorney to speak on behalf of my clients.
The second was a media coalition fighting for more public information to be released in the case. The judge did not make any decisions today on the gag order, but he scheduled both motion hearings on June 9th. Now, the trial for Brian Coburger will be here before you know it. Today, the judge scheduled the start of that trial on October 2nd. Now, defense attorney Ann Taylor told the judge she expects the trial will last between 4 and 6 weeks. Reporting in Moscow, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
Meanwhile, the family of Madison Mogans is asking people to remember her on Thursday by performing random acts of kindness. May 25th was Madison's birthday. She would have turned 22 years old this year. Her family says Maddie dedicated her life to spreading joy and kindness, and they are asking people to join them on her birthday to continue Maddie's mission. All you need to do is be kind this Thursday and share it on social media with the hashtag Maddie Mayday. If you'd like to watch today's arraignment, we have the full hearing available to watch right now on KREM 2 Plus. It is free to download on the app for Roku and Amazon Fire. Tonight we are hearing from Spokane City Council President Brian Beggs just hours after he learned that Governor Jay Inslee is appointing him to Spokane Superior Court. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk spoke with Beggs today to find out what this means.
It's a great chance to serve the community in a new way.
2 months ago, Spokane City Council President Brian Beggs announced he would not seek re-election. This morning, he learned Governor Jay Inslee is appointing him to Spokane Superior Court.
I just got a call today telling me at about 11 o'clock with Councilmember Kinnear. We were walking down the hall.
I was the first one to know because I was standing there when he got his announcement. And I stopped and I looked at him and I just said, I am so happy for you and so sad for me.
Beginning in July, Beggs will serve as a Superior Court judge, replacing Judge Michael Price, who is retiring. In a statement, Governor Inslee said, quote, "For years, Brian has passionately worked to improve the justice system in the Spokane County community. He's an experienced attorney and a committed public servant. I'm thrilled to have him bring that experience in and out of the courtroom to the Spokane Superior Court." His departure from City Council means someone will need to fill his position. Councilwoman Lori Kinnear is throwing her name into the hat to become the next council president.
Brian brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the council office that's going to be really hard to replace. We'll do our best, but it's going to be really hard to replace.
I've been practicing law for well over 30 years. I've practiced all different kinds of law, and so I feel like I'm well prepared with that part of it. But the everyday procedures and rules of how that particular courthouse works, I have a lot of learning to do.
In Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
Also new tonight, Spokane police arrested a man for openly masturbating in a West Central park as a school bus full of kids was letting off nearby. Police say 45-year-old Charles Simpson first approached a 17-year-old girl who was walking through the park with two children. He allegedly exposed his genitals and then followed the girl around the park, making vulgar comments. Police say he then sat down on a park bench and began masturbating. The suspect has 3 prior felony convictions for indecent exposure and 2 additional cases for felony indecent exposure that are still pending in the system from 2022. All right, taking a break from the headlines to talk weather. We are in the midst of a shift from the temperatures that we saw this weekend. Let's get straight to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo. Jeremy, noticeably cooler today compared to the weekend.
That's a great way to put it. With temperatures on the cool side, we're just heading into what is a wonderful break from a very hot May thus far. 55 degrees right now, not looking all that bad. Dew point sits at 42 degrees, so it's not even all that humid, and it likely means that we drop into the 40s tonight with that dew point that low. Wind, basically negligible at this point, so our wind gusts have died down, and what we have is a few stray showers also now falling apart. Overnight, those come to an end, and what winds up happening is we see the return of the sun in a big way tomorrow. We're talking a very sunny Tuesday and likely Wednesday across much of the inland Northwest as temperatures climb. 68 tomorrow afternoon. By Wednesday, we're back up in the 70s, and by Thursday, it's the mid-70s. And look at those lows. Tonight, we likely dip into the 40s, but then it's all 50s from here on out as the warmer weather returns.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. Meantime, caught on camera tonight, the moment an Iowa police officer had to cling to a moving car. The officer had to stand in front of the car after the suspect fled from a traffic stop, where after refusing to get out, that suspect tried to flee the scene, and that's when the officer pushed himself onto the hood to avoid being run over and had to hold on while the driver kept going. The officer broke his back after he was flung from the car. The driver has been sentenced to 5 years in prison. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. Deputies arrested 5 people for a break-in at the St. Ignatius Hospital in Colfax over the weekend. The Whitman County Sheriff's Office says they stole more than $3,000 worth of equipment. Most of it has now been recovered. 20-year-old Donovan Hoffman and 21-year-old Malachi Beach were booked into the Whitman County Jail on charges of burglary and theft. The other 3 suspects are minors. They'll also face charges. Spokane has been named one of the worst cities in the nation in terms of potholes. That's according to a new report by Quote Wizard, which analyzed Google searches over the last year. Washington State ranks 3rd when it comes to having the worst pothole problems in the country. Broken down by city, Spokane and Yakima rank 4th and 5th worst nationwide. Pothole damage costs U.S. drivers $3 billion a year. And the city of Spokane is looking to contract more climate-friendly transportation options without the steep price tag. The program they are considering is called EC Cooperative, and it would mean putting rentable electric cars all around the city.
It specifically was talking about encouraging rideshare companies that were electric to come to the city and, start a program here. So here it is, and here's the program, and here's the opportunity.
The company, with the help of some local businesses, is applying for a state grant that would help kickstart the program. The Liberty Lake mayor has vetoed a city council ordinance that would give the council the power to accept or reject library policies. Liberty Lake City Council voted 4-3 to give themselves the final say regarding library board policies. Well, the mayor said the way the ordinance is written does not allow for discussion about the board's policies. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just text us the word night to 509-448-2000 and we'll send them right to your phone.